Good morning. We are now back in Stockholm.
Yep, we just got in this morning, and today we're spending our time exploring the Djurgården area of town. So this is an area that's basically a huge park, a ton of museums, park space, recreational activities, and we're just gonna kind of see what we can find over here.
So we're definitely doing the Vasa Museum and we'll show you that, and depending on the weather there's also an outdoor museum that we like to do as well.
So our first stop today is the Vasa Museum. So the museum here is built to showcase a huge ship that was built back in the 1600s by King Adolfo Gustav. When it was built, he wanted it to be built with more cannons, 2 layers of cannons, and it ended up being so heavy that a few minutes after it left the dock, it sank right into the harbor, where it sat from the 1600s through many centuries and was rediscovered and was raised off the bottom back in the 1960s. And since then they've been working at preserving it and building it this own dedicated museum where you can come and see one of the best preserved ships of its time.
So we just finished up at the Vasa Museum and I know I really enjoyed it. There's definitely a lot of modern elements to the museum. Like, it seems like it was done really recently. There's definitely a lot of things in it that I wasn't expecting. I knew that the ship was preserved really well, but there was also some interesting things about like people that were on board. They had some of the bones of the survivors, which was really interesting, and so I really enjoyed it. It didn't take too long either. It only took about maybe an hour and a half to get through all of it, and we also did an audio guide through the museum that you just had to log on to the website to get the audio guide. So I'd recommend doing that if you're here. So it definitely was well worth our time and I really enjoyed it.
Our next stop on our tour of Djurgården is the Skansen. So Skansen is an open air kind of historical, almost museum, but it's like a large park set up. That's a chicken. They actually brought old buildings from around different parts of the country here to this park to give people a chance to see how Swedes lived in different areas of the country at different times. Realize this, but the Skansen is also home to a lot of animals. So they have a bunch of exhibits on, it seems like mostly native animals to Sweden. We've seen some reindeer and some moose. It's been fun exploring so far, so let's go see what else we can find.
Look at donkey, Choshi. We didn't need that time. That one's really fuzzy. Finished our day trip to Skansen, and I would say that I really enjoyed it. There's a lot of different things to do. There's a lot of different food. There's a lot of different animals, houses, and interesting things about Swedish culture and history. I would say to budget a little bit of time for this. It did take us a little bit longer, but we're here in October, and there were several places that weren't open until 11, so you may want to wait until after 11 to come.
I'd also think this place would be really cool to come in the summer or on a busy weekend when there'd be more going on. I think a lot of the things were closed just because it wasn't a very busy day, because we're kind of here on a weekday in kind of an off season. But I think during busier times they have recreations, reenactments, things like that you can really get a better feel for historical life in Sweden. After the Skansen Museum, to continue our day in the Djurgården area, we're walking around a little bit along the waterfront here. It's real pretty, but we found this museum called the Spirit Museum. Kind of a quirky museum. Had kind of the history of how spirits, how they interplay with Swedish culture, how they're made, and also the future of food and things like that. It was pretty cool. Also had a weird exhibit about hangovers, which is kind of interesting. But now we're after our tour, and we got a sampling of 4 different Swedish spirits. So let's get started on these.
That's really bitter. It kind of tastes like if you ate a bunch of orange peels and just cooked. So it said that before pills, it's used to treat stomach aches, and that's pretty much what it tastes like. It tastes like if you left a pill in your mouth and didn't swallow it, and you're supposed to just swallow it, and it's leaves that flavor in your mouth. That's exactly what it tastes like. It's so bitter.
So we had a nice time at the Djurgården area. I really enjoyed walking around there and seeing all the different sites. I think that area would be really special in the summer. It was a little cold for us today, especially since we're basically coming from New Orleans.
Right.
So even
it's 90 degrees in New Orleans right now.
Fahrenheit, and it's and it's about 40 in the low 40s here.
Yeah.
So it's cold. We're not used to it. But it seems like the city really would shine in the good, nice weather. Everywhere has outside seating. There's wonderful sidewalks overlooking the harbor. And it seems like it would just...
Yeah, I'm sure it'd be really busy then too. It wasn't terribly busy wherever we went today. But I could definitely see it getting really busy. It was nice.
Definitely. Even with the cold, people are still out walking around, riding their bikes, on scooters. It's a real active city, it seems like, even in the cold. So I can't imagine when the weather's nice and cooperating, how alive it would feel. But I think that...
that's it for today?
Yeah.
All right. Good night.
Good night.